To my cherished sibling, Sam Nail. We're still alive. I pray you are too. I regret the last words I spoke to you, and how unkind my silence has been all these years. I hope this letter finds its way to you, and that with it, you will be able to find us. In the face of everything, whatever issue I take with you running away and enlisting is trivial, inconsequential in the face of what really matters. I miss you, Sammy. Do you remember the stories Mother would tell? Of heroes in the great castle? In the mountains to the east, guarding the way? We're going there, Sammy. If the end is coming, we will face it together. Come join us. We'll be waiting for you at Sky Dagger.
So, when last we saw the Legion, we were fleeing the capital as it burned, as the forces of the Never overtook the walls, as chaos reigned in the streets, and as the Legion, such as it is, became the de facto escorts for not merely the Mitzrayim, but the rest of the refugees fleeing to the east, towards the Dolmara Mountains. I think it's been a few days of just constant movement. People doing whatever it takes to continue pressing forward, to put the fire of Novara behind them. And here at the foothills, you have finally found the space, found the safety to catch your breath. So, we have a different looking kind of Legion than when last we spoke. A number of our Legion roles are being taken over by other individuals. I think we'll introduce each of them as they become appropriate. If we were starting downtime proper, we would be doing a secondary mission. We did a secondary mission in the midst of the capital. And actually, I don't know if we've said it on a recording or not, but we decided to treat the escape from the city as if it was a primary mission that the team succeeded at, given everything that happened. And so some people got some experience points. And there are a number, I think, of changes, none of which have taken place as part of missions, however. But I do think we need to first address the question of morale.
Mm-hmm.
Came into the... Yes?
Oh, I was going to say, are we going to subtract one for every person that died, or are we just going to do some sort of flat rate here?
Well, let's talk about it. You came into the city with 9 morale. Known fatalities: Lark, Sam Nail, Azar, Marshall, Kale.
Mm-hmm.
I think we actually came in with 10, and we did 1 subtraction for Lark.
Yeah, I already took the one for Lark.
Okay. That would put you at 5 morale.
Yep.
Which, looking at downtime, would give you
1 free action.
1 free action.
That seems all right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine morale's good.
No.
I agree completely.
That makes 0 sense.
Like, we had to leave the city behind. We had to do the most grimdark thing possible.
We weren't planning on leaving the city either, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
As many, if not more people than we got there with.
And fewer leaders.
Fewer people saying what to do next.
Yeah. With that in mind, our new marshal is Abunalance, played by Devin. Just really briefly, what does it look like as Lance starts to corral the legionnaires that are remaining?
Well, what would an active marshal's duty be while the legion is on the run?
I think for one, you want to take inventory, right? You want to see a show of hands. Who's here? Who do we lose?
Yeah.
What condition is everyone in?
Yeah. Well,
right.
I think we've seen a lot of Lance kind of going through the troops and talking to people.
100%.
So I think he has been. I don't know if he would be the type to do a census or something like that, but he's at least talking to everybody, seeing who's here. I mean, everybody knows Lance. Lance probably knows most people who we lost, who last saw them.
Sure.
And bringing that information to at least confirmed losses to our new lore keeper. But I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, before you do that, make sure you mark changes to morale. We're now at 5.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of lore keeper, our lore keeper, we decided would be Nabain.
Yep.
Nabain Palisade. Storyteller.
Mm-hmm. Famously.
Yeah. Select and lead a back at camp scene.
Yeah, so I'd mentioned this before, but I would like to do the medium 4 to 7 morale scene. A squad refuses to go into the field until their captain is replaced.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk this through with y'all a little bit in terms of sort of what squad makes sense here. I'd like to be one of the ones where we know a lot of people, like, for example, the Star Vipers, where we have Aisling, Waloot, Gemma, Obik, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be one of the other ones that we know at least some folks on.
Ember Wolves is probably the next best candidate then.
Right. So I don't have any particular feelings on that. So if somebody else has a particular feeling on that, my sense here is we should have 2 of us playing rookies/soldiers who want their captain replaced. And I was thinking we would have them going to either Dorado, Lance, or both of them. Or sorry, I shouldn't have said who the commander is. The commander, the marshal, or both.
I think both of those squads are interesting because they do both already have people from both legions before they merged.
Right.
Soldiers might have a little bit that's actually interesting because I was going to say soldiers might have a little bit more ability to go to command staff and be no, we're not going to do anything, rather than rookies. But in the new legion, yeah, rookies got as much say as a soldier, haven't they?
Which what captain is it that is being replaced here? Is this a named specialist, or we have that soldier that I think doesn't have a name yet?
Mm-hmm.
It could be them, but I was thinking we could use one of the characters we already have. So I was thinking 9 or Argyle.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I like, especially as we're moving through, just this hurried idea of, hey, scout ahead. We really need to know where we're going. Take that squad and see what you can find.
Yeah, and maybe Argyle makes sense then, because it seems like he would do a lot of going off ahead and is probably used to working on his own.
I was going to suggest maybe 9 because
sure,
because it seems like Lance makes sense to be on the other side of that conversation, And Argyle's mostly been a Devin character so far, but
Works for me.
In that case, I might still pitch the soldier squad, not because they have like higher standing and it's easier for them to go to command staff, but because they're all either from quote unquote our former legion or, and then Obeek wasn't, but Kaio vouches for Obeek, so everyone's like, no, we're
Right.
okay with him. That's fine.
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
So
like that.
then how about we have Devin as Lance? Brendan, would you be willing to play 9
Yeah. of
again?
course.
Okay. And then Kris, would you want to play another soldier or do you want to play the commander here?
Do we want Dorado in this?
It's up to you.
I think it makes sense for her to be there. Like, it's not her.
Yeah.
You know.
I like Dorado and Lance on one side.
Yeah, she's not quartermaster right here, but it's like a, yeah, I'll be involved in this because this is all one legion now. So it's like whatever decision is getting made, both quote unquote sides of this agree on it.
Yeah. Gavin, is there a soldier on that squad you'd be interested in playing?
I could play Waloot or Gemma.
Okay. I feel free to pick either one of those. It'd be great, I think, to get Waloot on screen again after what happened.
Yeah.
All right, I'll play Waloot.
Okay. So I think that Lance...
What about
Sorry, go ahead.
What about you, Matthew?
I was just going to play incidental music and the background sounds and things like that.
You could play Gemma.
I could, but 5 in a scene is a lot.
Sure.
If I play Gemma, I think he'll mostly just be sulking in a corner.
Fair.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
a Gemma mode. So I think what happens here is that we have Lance and Dorado together in whatever remains of a command tent, planning things out, plotting things out, etc. Lance giving apparently a very imprecise report, it sounds like, Devin. Like, here's from my memory, everybody who's dead.
Well, okay. So Lance is definitely not the same Lance that we saw at the beginning of the campaign. But Lance is also still Lance.
I mean, to be clear, that wasn't me being like, Lance is awful, but I could easily imagine rather than having a tally, which Dorado might have asked for, instead Lance goes name by name and says who was alive and not. Which just makes more work for Dorado, and it's frustrating, but is very Lance.
Hey, he's new to the job. He doesn't really know, you know.
Right. But I think into that scene that 2 soldiers enter. I think 9 probably not with us yet, Brendan?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So then I think it's just Waloot and Gemma who enter here, and I think probably Waloot will get us started. Gavin, if that sounds right to you?
Also, I think Lance had a secretary when he was captain of the City Watch. He does not have one now.
Makes sense.
I like the idea of both of them, you know, at whatever desk is in this tent, both just like grabbing whatever scrap, like there's already things on one side of this paper, flip it over, we're writing on the other side now. I don't know where Azar kept the blank paper. I haven't had time to figure that out. So just like, no, okay, no, there's too much shit on this one. Okay, who, names.
And Waloot snatches it out of your hand, slams it on the table. I can't work with them anymore.
Come on in. Work with who?
9s. I can't work with 9s.
9.
I think it's just 9. Yeah.
Oh, I can't work with 9.
I thought that was in character. I thought that was funny.
Same. That was great. I was a fan.
Okay.
I think Dorado just sort of like blinks at Waloot, looks at Lance. Marshall.
Captain, we have the soldiers that we have at the moment. Why do you feel that you need a special dispensation to like decide who is on your squad?
Can't work like this.
Yeah, 9 doesn't give us any information, doesn't give us any plans, just goes off on their own. They're gonna get us killed.
Well, I don't think I know this this captain very well. Dorado, what do you think?
I know 9 can be reasoned with. Did you bring these concerns up to them?
Well, if I could find them.
Gemma does not laugh. It's me laughing.
Yeah.
Gemma stares off into space behind without meeting anybody's eye.
Dorado sort of like does the head tilt of like, no, yeah, he does do that.
9 comes in unannounced and puts hands a recently scrawled map to Marshall without saying anything.
Gemma jumps when 9 comes in.
To the Marshal or to Marshall?
Marshall's dead. There's only the Marshal now.
To the Marshal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just, I'm so used to hearing that word in regards to a literal guy. Lance takes it into his hand and looks at it.
It's the scouting information that you had asked for.
Wow, wonderful.
Just making faces and gesturing, like, you see what I mean?
Yeah, Dorado's just like, 9, you mind joining us for this conversation real quick, unless you've been assigned to do something else by the Marshal?
Crosses his arms, shrugs.
Well, what was 9's pronounce?
He, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, seems like he can follow orders. 9, how much experience do you have giving orders?
Shakes hand, kind of.
So gesture.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It looks like what everyone in this room needs to do is talk to each other more. So, Marshal Abunalance, if you wouldn't mind telling an entire squad when you send one member of that squad, especially the captain of that squad, on a particular mission or task or duty or whatever, if you mind just letting everybody know where people are so no one's left adrift. 9, talk to the rest of your squad. Is looking at Waloot and Gemma like, no, I'll get this. Waloot, Gemma kind of like waves a hand in their face.
Eyes focused back.
Hey. Yeah, thank you.
Lance gives Dorado sort of a sassy look and says, are you my commander or are you my mother?
Oof.
Oh my god.
Dorado just makes the most upset face at Lance, like, I don't, just, shush.
I'm improvising over here.
We're all just trying to do what we can to get things moving and keep people alive. But it's real hard to do that when nobody has enough information and no one is communicating that information. I get that you're new to the Marshal thing. I'm new to the grits her teeth as commander thing. We're all getting used to it. Talking about it is going to make it easier, okay?
Of course. Captain 9 got us some great information that we can apply. Now, Waloot, you've been on plenty of missions before. Have you never had to act without guidance from a captain? I trust you have the wherewithal to make good decisions when a lack of decision making is being made for you.
Yes, but that's not my duty. I have other things that I have to worry about, and when the captain says there's going to be a signal and doesn't tell us what the signal is, there's going to be a problem.
She's
okay.
Right. No. She's right.
Was that 9?
Or what even we're supposed to do when the signal happens.
Yeah,
like
I screwed that up. My fault. Won't happen again.
You're going to get people killed, 9.
Won't happen again. I'm sorry.
Just worked up, really laying it out.
Mm-hmm.
Gemma puts a hand on Waloot's shoulder.
Looks at Gemma like...
Hand drops.
9 looks at Marshall, at the Marshal and the commander. Anything else?
I know things are tough. I know things are confusing. And I know we're all scrambling in the dark here. Let's try to cool it, y'all.
Nothing for me now either. When something does come up, everyone will be told.
I think that's seen.
Waloot storms off.
I think once Waloot, Gemma, and 9 are gone, Dorado just like looks at Lance like, so you people just like knocking's not a thing? Notice? No?
Some things are more important than what were we doing?
Oh my god.
You gotta post somebody in front of your tent.
We're all in incredible danger.
Oh my god.
Commander Dorado the Adamant, note +1 time and +1 pressure, please.
Yep. We are now at 1 pressure and 5 time on the
Great.
current track.
Love that for us.
Could be better. It's not the worst.
It's time for the quartermaster to note -1 food. Gravander is still around, but Gravander has wound up in a situation where there's not just the Legion, but there's this enormous refugee baggage train to help manage.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sounds like we might have someone else acting in the role of quartermaster. Who do we think discovers this person acting in that role?
Suleiman.
Yeah, my heart says Suleiman. Unfortunately.
Suleiman
Why
peeking around
unfortunately?
the wagons.
Who are you, strange creature? You are not a Gravander, I'm pretty sure. Do not fool Suleiman.
It's true. It's true. I was thinking maybe I like Suleiman there. I was wondering if maybe Nabain is also there in anticipation
Sure.
of because the very next thing is Tale of the Legion, and I imagine there's going to be some degree of ceremony there, given what all everyone's been through. And so I wonder if Nabain is almost just there at the same time as Suleiman, trying to make sure that there's appropriate stuff for what is there.
Yeah.
If there ever was an angel and devil on your shoulder.
They're both Suleiman.
Get you an alchemist that can do both. I cannot do both.
Find another alchemist, quick.
I have restraining order.
Jesus.
At least he's an honest guy. So you find a lanky, wiry person, large spectacles. One of them is cracked all the way through, holding Gravander's clipboard, taking notes of what we have left, what made it through. This is Quartermaster Tzufit. Live well, it is the best revenge. Pronouns aughts.
Nabain, there's thief in quartermaster cottage.
No! I'm appointed.
You create distraction. I have a wavy knife.
Apprentice quartermaster Tzufit at your service. Salutes very sloppily, clearly a civilian.
Let's hold off on the knife for just a moment, Suleiman. We weren't. Neither of us were informed of a change in quartermaster. Apologies. When did this happen?
Earlier this morning, I want to say.
That tracks.
Yeah. So here's the whole thing. I went to Udet's crew, Udet's group. I'm an accountant, you see, and I said I could help with the books. It was a big whole deal. Maybe I could do something there. And Udet was like, "No, we don't need you. We've got plenty of accountants." So I went over here, and there was a nice fellow named Gravander who said that I could take over because it had to deal with the rest of everyone else, and so now I'm apprentice quartermaster. Hi.
Hi.
And you are?
I am commander.
He's lying.
You're not commander.
You salute me once again.
Very hesitantly raises his hand.
You outrank him. You outrank him.
Oh.
Suleiman salutes with his wavy knife.
Hi, my name is Nabain. I am medic and apparently now lore keeper.
Scribble.
This is Suleiman. This was Nabain gesturing between himself and Suleiman, being like, he's our alchemist.
Scribble, scribble.
Commander Alchemist.
The one and only. I'm sure you're aware there is an upcoming funeral ceremony planned. The previous lawkeeper, Nabain chokes up a little bit. Kale, they always had various exotic plants. I don't suppose you know where to get exotic plants?
And there's a sudden, like, cool understanding that falls on Ott. Ott puts a hand on Nabain's shoulder, suddenly cool and very comfortable in the situation. I know exactly where the twigs are.
Ah, well then, twigs it will be. Suleiman, I believe you also had a need?
Gravender had made agreement I get all black shot from now on.
I can't imagine that's true.
Is true. Is absolutely...
Do you have it in writing?
Yes.
Hands over the sign like Ron Swanson. I can do whatever I want.
Pulls like several wadded up pieces of paper, starts looking, like unfurling them and looking through them, and like, no, not that one. No, and like hands over one that just has a picture, like a little drawing of a gun on it. Like not a. I want to be absolutely clear, not a schematic or like a blueprint or anything like that. Just like a little scribble.
You're quite the artist, my friend.
Nabain's just covering his eyes with one hand, just can't deal with this today.
Look, I'll tell you what, Suleiman. Come back tomorrow and I'll see what I can do once I've made inventory. First, I gotta deal with Nabain's needs first. Okay?
We do good business together, accountant. My schematic, please.
Yeah.
There's a quick little ending to the scene. Aoife walks up to Suleiman and says, is now a good time to talk about the thing?
Hang on. And like reaches into his hair and pulls out like a small bundle wrapped in parchment and is like, what? Is all ready, is perfect, is beautiful.
Oh boy.
Hands it over to Aoife.
You had that in your hair?
Insulation.
Okay.
He's not wrong.
Insulation, Suleiman.
And Aoife walks off with the package.
Goodbye, Aoife.
Goodbye forever.
Okay. As we were saying, Lorekeeper, if enough have died, tell a tale of the Legion.
So I imagine that a lot of this was taking place early-ish in the day. Is that fair? Sleepless nights, of course, for everybody for a while, or very little sleep. And I think as the sun begins to set, there's the big bonfire that I think some rookies and soldiers, maybe we get some of the rookies and soldiers we didn't get earlier here, putting this big bonfire together, put together without even really thinking about it. Like there's always a bonfire at the camp, right? And soon after, out comes Nabain, carrying a bundle of basically kindling. And, Kale, correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but Kale always wore nice robes, basically?
Yeah, I like to imagine Kale's outfits are kind of like almost like Indian formal wear, like lots of like vibrant colored tunics and things like that.
Sure. That is not what Nabain has on. I think Nabain has a bright colored scarf, maybe a red, draped around his sort of normal outfit, just try to give it a little bit of ceremony. And I think, somebody else, maybe Aisling or somebody has pulled out a big crate, which Nabain steps up on and clears his throat. And when the sort of speaking has died down a little bit, says, hello, I am Nabain Palisade. For those of you who do not know me, I have been a medic with the Legion since the fields and the signing. We have recently lost our Legion's lore keeper. And I say our Legion's lore keeper with intent here. Kale was perhaps the glue that first brought the two separate legions together. And they are gone. And I am not a mortician, but I am Kaimordi. And as the highest ranking, I took the spot. And he clears his throat again and unties the bundle of twigs and sort of holds it out in his hands so that they're sort of holds out in his arms so that you can see the bundle in front of him. And he says, we have a tradition here in the Legion. Kale always emphasized the importance of history and of understanding of tradition and where they came from and their importance. They always had these incredible exotic plants. I don't know where they got them. Perhaps they carried them from their home. What I have in front of me here are sticks, kindling. But we have a tradition. And by that tradition, I tell you this now. And he sort of shifts the sticks over and pulls out one of the sticks and says, this is not an aspen piece of kindling. This is a willow branch. This is for Kale, the smiling willow, and drops it in the fire. And then he picks up another stick and he says, and this is not kindling. This is a sprig of yucca, Adam's shrub, a sword-like fern for a sword-like man, Marshall. And he drops that into the fire. And this, of course, is no mere stick, but a sturdy oaken branch representing our recently departed sturdy commander, Azar. And he drops that into the fire. There have been many others we have lost, more than I can count between our legions, and even more who we hope to see again. So by the same tradition that transformed those earlier sticks, I say to you now, this bundle is exactly the plant needed for each of those who we did not get to say goodbye to. And he drops the bundle into the fire. And little sparks float up, and there's a big plume of smoke, because that's how fire works. Nabain has to stand back for a second as that clears, and then steps forward again. Kale would always have stories from the archives, the tales of the Legion of old. I don't have those stories. He pulls out from his pocket strips of paper, vellum or something. But what I do have are the stories I've been collecting from you all. So let me tell you this story. This is the story of the Consonant Legion, signed on the fields far to the west before the breaking. And we just get, I think, a little bit of a montage here of Nabain recounting the story of our Legion, which we all know, but also the story of the other Legion that we don't know. How they went up to the Tailos Mountains, the adventures they had there. I think he calls out, specific people in the crowd, right? The incredible shot by Aoife, and, Aoife stands up and everybody cheers, right? Etc. This, just in montage form, everybody gets a little moment of recognition here. And then Nabain says, to sort of end us off as we come back, and then we fled the city, and now we are here. And so many are not. But I started quite a ways ago now. Apologies. I'm not used to speaking so long. But I started this by bringing up the importance of history and understanding of tradition. We are that history. We are that tradition. And we're not dead yet. We are the Legion. And we will prevail. And then he steps down off the box.
I think the crowd gets kind of like rowdy and cheers. And I think it's like the first time we've seen, even though morale is technically lower than it's been in a while, we see the crowd kind of enthused and cheering, like similar to the first time we saw Kale give a speech. Because pretty much all of their speeches after that were bummer ones. You get to choose the effect here.
And the effect of the speech, mechanically, is Legionnaires remember why they fight. One mission next session gets plus 2d to its engagement roll.
So, Quartermaster, it is time for campaign actions.
Okay. Well, I've been reviewing the actions, and I think we might as well use our last tick of liberty.
Yes.
Because I would like to increase morale by 4 and clear everyone's stress.
Well, all but one, right?
Ain't no party like a Constant Legion party.
Ooh, half of these people are about to be like, what the fuck is this?
And then they're going to be like, this is the best.
Yeah, I found this thing, and it was pretty well hidden, but Commander said it was okay. So, under its orders, we're gonna...
Jesus.
Yes, under my orders.
No,
God.
You're not Commander.
Oh, I thought you said Commander. I apologize.
Oh, silly mistake. No.
Aoife says, Kale would have beat all of our asses if we didn't party at their funeral.
Kale would insist on awake.
I am awake.
Awake they'll get. Oh my God.
Ha!
If you only have one stress, you don't heal that stress, right?
I think if you only have one, you do heal it.
Yes.
But if you have more than one,
Coolio.
you go down to 1.
That is exactly correct. Thank you, Chris.
Coolio.
Yep.
Is somebody else going to go through and do that, or should I just go down the line?
The Marshal is supposed to do it.
Yep.
Marshall.
Oh,
Devin.
okay. How many am I subtracting again?
Yeah, anybody who has 1 stress loses that stress. Anyone who has more than 1 stress goes down to 1 stress.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, great news for Lance. A+.
And that's my one campaign action. I think there's a thing where Tzufit is standing with Nabain saying, I still don't really understand the Legion, why you are the way you are, but if this is how you celebrate your dead, I think I understand why my sister joined you.
Well, I only joined Legion a few months ago. Your sister, Lark, sort of looks meaningfully at Tzufit, was with the Legion far longer than I, but it didn't take too long for me to understand the appeal. He doesn't quite know how to say this next thing, but looks at Tzufit and says to Utz, We all loved your sister, and she protected us all. It doesn't say right up until the end, but leaves it hanging there.
Tzufit just sips Ott's drink, watching everyone party.
Where's Lance while this is going on?
At the party, of course.
But like, give me where in the scene does Suleiman find Lance?
Oh boy.
So we see Lance
Jesus.
doing their job as a marshal,
Jesus.
marshaling people to, I don't know, I was going to say do shots, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Fuck.
absolutely. I love to have a cool boss.
We're more like a family here.
My soul just left my body.
I mean, but actually, though.
Well, okay. It's It's always so complicated to describe Lance doing this kind of stuff because Lance is extremely competent, but also like is, chaos.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah.
So
mhm.
I think he's going to bring that energy to any job that he is assigned to.
Totally.
Right.
Absolutely. Suleiman is polite enough not to interrupt the shots, but waits to get you for a moment and is like, new marshal, I have confession. to make.
Suleiman, come join us. I got enough liquor for you too. You already smell like you've been drinking, or no, that's just how you normally smell.
Both can be true. Holds up a flask in one hand and a flask in the other hand.
One of them is clearly alcohol. One of them is clearly solvent.
They're both taped. I Edward 40 hands myself.
Well, what is upper, what is downer? I bounce back and forth perfectly.
Oh my
Balance.
god.
Suleiman is tier 5 now.
Ugh.
Yeah, come join us.
No, I must address you as proper rank now. You're marshal. You're a superior officer.
I was always your superior officer, wasn't I?
Yes. Yes, now you're superior officer, which means I must come clean. I have something that I believe belongs to you, technically, sort of.
Let's walk and talk. Pat Suleiman on the back and kind of walks away from the crowd for a moment.
Well, as Legion has gone through very much different sorts of things. Odds and ends get left around. Maybe not everything is accounted for. But I find thing and I can use it effectively, and I see no reason that it should go to waste. So I hang on to it, and it has served me well. And so it is. But is yours, and so I thought I would make the offer to return if that is what you takes a swig you think is best, sir.
And you're referring to?
And he does sort of like a no, he does like a, and from out of his big braids of hair comes crawling a hand.
Oh my god.
And like sits on top of Suleiman's head. And Lance, you can see immediately that it is your animate hand that Lydia had taken and kept for herself, that eventually followed the Legion.
So Lance is a man. We all know this. Lance is a man of unyielding confidence. He goes pale.
Yeah.
I named it Lance Jr.
Oh my god.
I hope this is not weird.
You hope it is not weird. I feel like you strive to be weird.
No, it's just how it is. No, it just comes naturally.
You're just built different. I get it.
It takes all sorts.
Okay. So,
anyways, has been very helpful in lab work. It's always useful to have another, not pair of hands, but if you would prefer, have Lance Jr. back, is your hand.
He
Oh my god.
looks down at his stump, looks over to the hand. It's like it has volition, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, it's sitting like a little rodent, just like making a little nasty nest on top of Suleiman's head. To be clear, I would is not reattach. Is that would no is.
You know what? We all appreciate the hard work you do here at the Legion. Consider this a gift to you. It seems like it's doing so well for you as an assistant. I wouldn't want to take that from you.
Suleiman like looks kind of like at the ground and sort of like tries to stand up a little bit straighter. And it's like, I do my best for everyone. Thank you. It's party time, so time for crazy alchemist. Gives like a quick like salute and then like marches off.
Jesus. Oh, Suleiman. I love him.
This is like meeting your ex's new boyfriend.
Which? Who is who in that?
Explain.
No, I won't.
Okay.
Who else? Who else got scenes?
I got kind of like a little quick narration.
Please.
So Aoife was at the party for a little bit. But, you know, she has this package in her pockets, almost burning a hole in her pocket. And she takes her drink and she like walks out to like walks away from the crowd and walks out to like an empty field and just kind of like sits down and starts to unwrap it. And what we see is a small pile of like sort of vaguely bullet shaped rocks. And they like reflect the starlight from above through them. And she's a little bit tipsy, but when she like stares into these things, she feels like the worst, like, is it agoraphobia? That's the one where like you're afraid of just wide open space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It almost like gives you the impression that like suddenly through holding these and looking at these that you're like falling up through the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like grits her teeth and kind of like experiences this for a moment and then wraps it up, kind of sighs and is just thinking like, I gotta get used to that. And heads back to the rest of the party. And in mechanically speaking, what this is as the sniper, I now have access to Crimson Shot, which counts as a threat for attack. And anytime I use it, I must mark trauma.
Hell yes.
But it's like the ultimate sniper move.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Suleiman made her some bullets out of Fallen Star.
Thanks, Suleiman. I have a thing that I'd like to talk through as players and then maybe pitch a scene around.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I gestured at this before we started playing. Hey, Kris, what lie does Dorado tell people about what happened to Azar and Marshall?
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of them not coming back from a never attack,
Mhm.
but I wonder if it's like because the sort of secondary mission that we like did during Kingdom, we took the option to fail it and it was like, okay, retreat. I think it might be another one of those where it's just like I made the call to retreat and Marshall and Azar didn't know when to give up those two.
Yeah, I like that.
That helps justify like why they're not around to be like
Yeah, why they're not around,
burned.
why we had to destroy the bodies,
Yeah.
why, Dorado and her squad are kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Who's she saying this to?
Yeah, who asks? You also made a pitch for that.
So I had suggested a while ago that Cravander might be it if it was still around.
Right, true.
But I'm interested, I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm interested in somebody else knowing the truth here.
Nikolaj?
Somebody else besides Dorado. Sorry, what was that, Gavin?
Nikolaj, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Say, this is kind of his job to know things now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's good.
I think if Lance heard that, he would side-eye really hard, but wouldn't say anything.
Side eye who?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think Lance wouldn't believe that? That seems very believable for me, that Azar and Marshall would go out fighting Never.
I don't know. He has a lot of experience with them being fairly practical people.
Sure.
But then Dorado also has the context of, like, I think they had been drinking, and, like, people can probably attest to that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's just plausible enough, and Lance has that much personal experience with them that he wouldn't necessarily know which way to go with it, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like Nikolaj. What if, here's a pitch. What if Nikolaj now has access to a prophecy about this? But Nikolaj knows how, like, prophecies are busted now. And so Nikolaj doesn't know if it's true. Because then there's a reason for a scene where Nikolaj tries to side, like, I don't know how to say this, but side figure out if Dorado killed Azar and Marshall?
Yeah, like, how do you... Is it, like, Nikolaj trying to, like saying he's got some gaps in his data, and he's trying to account for where... like Columbo at, like, where did you say you were? just a couple of things. Just a couple of things I can't quite figure out.
Yeah.
Did you happen to hear either of their last words, maybe?
Because this could, I could also see that from Nikolaj's point of view, like, when we started Kingdom and he was my major character, his thing with Azar was like, I gotta give Azar a reason not to kill me. And so it could kind of be like, where do I stand with Dorado? Because I know you even less.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, do I also have to be worried that you want me dead?
Absolutely.
For like, eyes of smoke reasons?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, okay. So then I think this scene is Nikolaj. I don't know, Brendan, if you want to play Nikolaj, you'd be welcome to, or I can play Nikolaj.
I'd be happy to.
Okay. And then it's definitely Dorado here as well. We already had Lance. Let's get somebody else. I mean, it could just be the two of you. I don't know. What do you think? That's nice and intimate and maybe terrifying.
It kind of makes sense.
Sure, if someone else wants to be there, they can always enter the scene.
Right.
People do keep doing that.
I think
Is this happening?
No,
Sorry,
I think Nikolaj knocks.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is this happening? I was going to ask if this was happening during the party time, and that's why there's no one posted outside the door.
Well, I don't know. Where is Dorado during the party?
I think earlier in it, she was like out there sort of being like, okay, good. Like, people seem to be getting along, and whatever the fuck this is, I guess is helping. Like, holy shit, what do you, where did you find or make this? Looks at Suleiman. Okay, no, that makes sense. And then, you know, after a while, it's just like, there's just too many things to deal with that you're just not going to stay at the party for long. Got papers to write on both sides of. So she's back in the commander tent.
Yeah, I think Nikolaj actually just says, like, knock, knock, before, like, awkwardly sort of stepping in.
Half a smile. Appreciated.
I don't like surprises. I figure it's least I could do.
All right. Not a fan of the celebrations?
I like frivolity as much as anyone else. It's just there's a lot to do, and not a lot of instructions on how to do it sitting around. So
Tell me about it.
Well, taking you completely seriously, sitting down in the chair, and, like, staring into space. Well, it's been a long time since the Legion had a spy master of any sort. They have a certain degree of parlance that they seem to have all of their stuff written in, that they just sort of assume that you know. And so it's sort of like opening up a book that is in a foreign language that you can sort of read, but you don't have the dictionary in order to tell what everything is supposed to be. And also the author is lying to you. You didn't actually want to know, or you didn't actually want me to tell you about it. I'm sorry.
It's not what I meant, but I understand the feeling. Gestures at all of these papers. I'm still trying to figure out Azar's methods of organizing things. If you're here to ask about what people to help with some of those papers, Lance is the marshal for now.
Wince.
Makes a face like, something wrong with Lance?
No, certainly
Something
not.
I'm not aware of?
I believe you're aware of everything that there is to be aware of.
So what does bring you here?
Whatever the situation was with Azar and Marshall, I at least had an idea of where I stood with them. I seem to always have difficulty learning where I stand with people. And so if someone who is in a position of power, it's just more work. But no, I don't have assignments to task out. I don't even know what I would assign them just yet. Just still things to do. I was curious, however, if maybe there was something you could help me out with. I was trying to put together some accounting of the situation as we left it, so that I would be better situated to understand what we should investigate. You said that Commander Azar and the Marshal went down fighting Never, correct?
Yeah.
I've been going over this extraordinary piece of information. I think it has the words Never Decks slathered across the top of it. I can't imagine that's what they really call it, but it's an accounting of the different sorts of Never and their different capabilities and such. And I was simply struck that if something took down both Azar and Marshall, it must have been absolutely extraordinarily powerful. It must be something maybe that we already have a record of, or maybe even something we need to investigate further. I was wondering if there's anything more you could tell me about what brought them down.
Out of character now. I'm trying to think of what Never, because there's both Whisper and Ruin were out there, yeah?
Yeah, all of the Never that we have had.
So everything's game.
Everyone
I'm trying
is
to
here.
think of whole squad. I'm trying to think of what makes sense for something that could, because I mean as good of fighters as they are two guys.
Yep.
Is there a lieutenant that Dorado's Legion met up with?
Ooh, yeah, maybe a lieutenant of Ruins.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? I'm thinking of the way that ivy plants will crawl up walls and also worm their roots into the mortar between bricks and just pop them apart and will just fuck up structures. So something that just crawls up the wall and so could take them by surprise. In a just two guys. Right.
Which also helps obscure, helps sell the lie, because it came out of the underground.
Yeah,
you couldn't
came up from under everybody. It's nighttime. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this something that Dorado's Legion actually saw in the Tylus Mountains as they were taking that more northern path?
I do like I do like that idea, that it is something they actually dealt with, and they have that record. It's just still working through where to put these things in with Azar's information, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she says it's one of Ruin's. We've seen it before in the mountains up north. Roots, they climb, they come up fast, they come up quiet. And as much as the Marshal and Azar were capable fighters, I don't think they were prepared for that. Clearly none of us were. And when they refused to retreat with us, well, then they were just two men. I'm, again, still trying to figure out Azar's filing system to see where I put this, shuffles around some papers, has the other legion's account of what that thing is, and says, but I guess you all have this Never what? And just hands these sheets to Nikolaj. And they have the information on the root.
It's not
thing.
that weird of a name. Index is a real thing.
I know, I just like everybody being I'm sorry, the whom?
Love to lampshade.
Takes the papers, nods, gets up, says, well, if there's anything I can do to help, short of seeing the future, let me know.
Seeing as how the last person who thought they could do that ended up, I don't know that I want that from you anyway. I'll let you know.
I think that's one of the most welcoming things someone on the command staff said to me in a long time, Commander.
Good night, Nikolaj.
Good night.
And then goes back to many papers. Goes back to I'm moving papers and doing important work. And
doing
then Nikolaj
office
is
work.
Gone and just sort of, business. And then he's gone and she just sort of pauses deep breath in, deep breath out, and then back to work.
It's fine.
Quartermaster, update the status of any alchemists, laborers, and mercies. Gavin, that's you.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
We've got laborer Mal. I've already ticked her for training the Legion.
She automatically adds a tick to the training regimen, right?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I don't remember if Oak or Freedom were injured, but they are no longer injured.
They were not.
Okay.
I think Oak might have taken an injury for someone during Kingdom, but
Right.
yes, probably.
Yeah, I think it was Sophia.
Kale. Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, right. Jeez. Oh.
Uh-huh.
Hui.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It is fine. Well, speaking of Nikolaj, we are at the phase of downtime where the spy gets to dispatch spies.
The spies.
We have 2 spies. I think we decided previously that 9 and Argyle were going to occupy the
I thought
roles.
one was going to be Gemma.
Oh, maybe that's correct. Was it Argyle and Gemma?
I think it was Argyle and Gemma.
Okay, cool.
I remember there being one of them that perfectly mapped to Argyle, trait wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the
The one who
former-
just...
it was Antoinette.
Antoinette,
Yeah, denied nobility by birth.
Right.
Mhm.
So, a year into the game, let's talk about this core mechanic that you can optionally have. A spy
Jesus
master
Christ.
starts with 2 spies, a trained spy and a master spy, which affect whether you're trained or master. I think affects how much dice you roll when you get dispatched on a project.
Yes.
And it has all these pre-made individuals that have specialties that we're sort of picking a couple of to map. The first one, Argyle, is using Antoinette's specialty, which is automatically upgrades to a master spy when selected. So you effectively have 2 master spies. The other one, Gemma, is using the specialty from Crimson Vexing Gale. Their specialty is does not wound on any mission. No matter what Gemma gets up to, Gemma will continue to survive in order to continue to go absolutely haunted.
Mm-hmm. That's the boy.
So you can send a spy on a short-term mission or a long-term assignment. We're close enough to the end of the campaign that long-term assignments probably aren't going to be along the on order. I don't know. It's not for me to dictate, but that seems like the case.
Agreed.
Simple assignments include the following: recover, the spy heals and recuperates. Interrogate, look at the commander's list of intel questions. Your spy is sent on a mission and can answer 1 question from any list, regardless of the commander's intel total, whenever missions are presented by the GM. Blackmail, your spy bribes or threatens as needed. Add 1 die to an acquire assets roll. Or help, your spy facilitates or networks as needed. Add +1d to a long-term project roll.
So we get 2 of these? Is that what we're saying?
That is what we are saying. Nikolaj gets to send Argyle on one thing and Gemma on something else.
We should send Argyle to interrogate. That sounds rad.
I think Kris and I both did at an extra intel question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, given the state of your supply, that is the resource that you would spend for additional downtime actions, it doesn't feel like we're going to get any more downtime actions. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
No.
In which case, I would say send them both on interrogate. You get 2 extra questions, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking just to make absolutely
It's kind of all we can do because neither of them are wounded. And we can't do any more downtime actions, so
Exactly.
interrogate's kind of the only thing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get 5.
Yeah. I think that is the net of what having these spies available will do, is it will get you additional intel questions when we've got missions on deck.
Yeah.
Which we spoke a little bit before. It sounds like morale and assault might be what's the commander's preference.
Well, now we got all this morale.
Yeah, that was before we got a whole bunch of morale. I mean,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, that was when we were looking at having not a lot of morale, but I mean, probably more people are going to die.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a little bit already. The paths that you could take to continue going east actually fork from here. You could go to the high road over the mountains or the Maw underground. When we spoke between sessions, it sounded like going overland across the mountains was probably going to be the way that we went. And the mission types there are assault and recon. Of course, there are also special missions there. So,
I mean, of the two, what do you get from recon missions? Intel, right? We're okay on intel, but probably going to spend some of that. So I think I still lean assault because also Aoife has cool, terrible bullets.
If we could get a supply mission, I'd be pretty happy with that.
That would be nice.
Assault missions can get you supply. They don't guarantee supply the way that supply missions would. I was looking at the table. Assault rewards morale always, supply, and time. Recon awards intel always, assets, time, sometimes troops. And then if you went to the Maw has assault and religious missions. Religious assets, morale, sometimes intel and time. But neither of these places are particularly suited for supply missions, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think before we played Kingdom, I was hoping that we would get like a mission in Novara, and that could be a supply mission, but then no.
I mean, before we played Kingdom, I thought that would be the case as well, but here we are.
Yeah, no fault is being assigned here. Kingdom, we sure did Kingdom. But yeah, I think given that, still leaning the high road, and fingers crossed for supply being somewhere in one of those missions.
Well,
but because morale could go up, and also people are probably going to continue to die. We roll famously poorly on secondary missions, so
we got 2 extra dice to spend on one of those now, though.
That's true.
Yup. I've just stopped being like, it's 2 extra dice, hell yeah, when Avery's involved.
Fair.
I've been hurt too many times. Not even getting those hopes up to be dashed. But yeah.
Cool.
Also, the current morale being a product of, the Liberty and everybody, it sounds like it's, the Legions getting further used to each other, because there wasn't really an opportunity for something like this while they were in Novara. And then the idea of succeeding an assault mission and getting the morale from that is like, we can work together. Like, we can fight together. I can trust you with my life to a degree. So
absolutely.
It's a different kind of morale that I think would be nice to have, like building that kind of trust on screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then, unless there's any other scenes that people want to have.
Since you invented a location, do we need to roll advance?
I don't think we actually advanced from the capital. So I think this is
okay.
That's exactly.
Okie dokie. Good luck, Kris.
Do we ask the intel questions now, or are we saving that for when we know what the missions are?
It's for when you have the missions.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And actually, before we do that, let's do a little bit more housekeeping, which is it hasn't come up, but Yudet the Bladesinger is your new Devon.
Definitely our new Devon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to explore. She's been kitted out with sacred seals. All Legionnaires gain special armor versus magical effects. To be clear, special armor is like a once per mission, like I expend special armor kind of thing. It's not like people don't suddenly have Sentai armor or something like that. Living God's Fury. The quartermaster may spend a religious supply before an assault mission to add +1d to the engagement roll. Legionnaires equip both reliquaries and Black Shot on this mission. And, courtesy of Serikali, Yudet has the beacon. Gain 1 intel after every 2 primary missions.
I wonder who Udet's talking to.
That's a great question.
Yeah. I'm terrified of the answer.
That is one artifact that y'all had. What about the other?
The battle horn?
The battle horn of Nira. Does the Legion still have that, or is it left in Novara?
Oh yeah, weird.
Hey, Tzufit, there's not a big horn in one of those wagons, is there? Somebody goes and asks that.
I'm happy for the answer to be one way or the other. I just want it to be said out loud.
Well, to metagame a little bit. Just a little bit.
Little metagaming as a treat.
If we do take the horn with us, as a treat, if we do take the horn with us, we will get bonus points. The epilogue.
That is true. Yes, if you have the battle horn with you, it will be of material benefit during the final battle.
And we do have someone who does want to be further haunted. So it's maybe not okay, but there's maybe less of a question of like, okay, so who do we task with this now?
That's completely true. But let me pitch you on this. I think it's really interesting if it's part of my yes, but I don't really remember anymore, about his death. If Azar had, along with the other sort of plans he'd had intentionally stashed the horn in the estate before anybody, so the people wouldn't have had the time to grab it before they left. The reason...
It's real big.
It's big. Yeah, it's big. But the estate was big too, so there's places to hide it. The reason from Azar's perspective was going to be, this was going to be his escape route, essentially. If you ended up separated by the Legion, or the Legion split up in some way, that a smaller group would be able to follow up on later using the horn to keep the Never at bay. But I think there's something really interesting here narratively, where there's a whole bunch of characters that we left behind in the Senate who could potentially show up in the 11th hour with the horn, potentially deeply fucked up, which could be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just to say, I think all of that makes sense. I think that is the preferable outcome here.
And then, per Gavin's point, we could, depending on how things work out, and maybe there's a little bit of extra something we have to do during one of these little final mini missions to get it, but we could still end up with the horn, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And as for Gemma, I think there's lots of different ways to get haunted.
Is that okay, Gavin?
I think so. I'm not a huge fan of 11th hour.
Let me pitch you on this as an 11th hour thing. Ruin shows up with the horn.
Yeah, I'm okay.
That's nice and grimdark.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. So, housekeeping done. The Legion advances. Commander, decide if the Legion will advance.
We sure will.
Quartermaster, choose whether or not to spend horses to reduce pressure.
Pressure's at 1.
And we don't even have horses. Oh, we do have horses to spend.
Oh, we have hella horses, yeah. You could.
Going down to 0 doesn't hurt.
We have 3 ticks to use. Yeah, okay. I'll take a horses.
All right. That goes pressure down to 0, which means you'll roll 2d6 and take the lower.
Okay.
Roll pressure and use the result to increase time.
Yep. Okay. 2d6. Take lowest pressure. There's a 1.
Let's fucking go.
So does that increase time by 1?
Great question.
I think so. I think 1 to 3 would have been a 1.
Yep, that is correct. 1 to 3 is just a tick of 1 on the time clock.
Okay, we're now at 6 out of 12, 13. Nope. Count. 14. There we go. On this clock.
This is the final clock, right?
This is the
This
final
is the final
clock.
countdown, yes.
Yeah.
There's some benefit on like the final epilogue tick. If we're under some number, I don't know if that's even still possible.
I don't think it is. I think we're past it.
It was pretty high up. I checked once.
I think this is an any percent run, not a 100% run.
I think it was 3
Yeah, the same as
ticks
speed
left, and
Take
not
-1d if you have 3 or fewer time remaining. Enemy at the
Yeah.
gates.
2, 3, 4. Well, we have 4 ticks right now, so it's possible.
Uh-huh.
We could get another one.
well, don't we have an extra 4?
I don't know if Brendan would count that.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that either if I was GMing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still possible. We can still do it.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you'll stick around in the mountains for a long time.
Oh my god.
Who can say?
Who indeed?
With scale of a ski trip.
Exactly. Finally, the hot springs episode.
What?
The
No.
We have to have a Hot Springs episode. We're an anime, Gavin.
we are an anime.
This is an anime podcast.
We finally the Legion heads into the mountains to see what awaits them there. Oathsworn is an actual play podcast created by
Devin Nelson.
Gavin Fregeau.
Kris Allison.
Matthew Guzdial.
and me, Brennan McLeod. All music for the show is created by Devin Nelson. Find it and more at devindecibel.bandcamp.com. Find a link to their music and any of the games that we have played in the podcast description. Follow us at Oathsworn Pod on Twitter or Oathsworn on Co-host. If you like the show, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Until next time.